so much for being here on Power Breakfast this morning.
Thank you, Joy. It's my pleasure.
I thought we would talk a little bit about monogamy and the expectations, and whether it's even a realistic thing to expect in a relationship in this day and age. So how about we begin there, because as Africans, we've had the traditional culture of polygamy for so many years. Is monogamy natural to us as humans, as Africans? Is it a natural thing?
Well, I would say it depends on where you're coming from. Historically, polygamy has always been practiced. There are certain cultures that have embraced polygamy historically until current, and that continues to happen. Basically, polygamy is with us depending on your culture, on your tradition, and on your beliefs. And so there are certain sovereign states that have outlawed polygamy, and there are others where it is legal. And so polygamy or not polygamy, it's a personal choice, depending on where you're coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are people who say it makes no sense to be with one person for the rest of your life. It's not natural, they say. What would you say to that person who has that idea or school of thought?
Well, let's just put it this way, that every institution has guidelines and rules and regulations, expectations, if you are really to confine yourself to a certain institution. Marriage is an institution, and the institution of marriage does have bylaws and guidelines and actually a constitution. Basically what happens is that it depends on whether or not you want to confine yourself to what is expected of a union between a man and a woman. Yes, one would wonder, really, how do I confine myself to one person for the whole of my life? I think it's basically understanding that it's not a confinement. Within that union, there are ways to keep it exciting, interesting, vibrant, spicy, thriving along the journey, like anything else. Whether it is a girlfriend relationship, it can get boring over time. What is it that we can do to make it, sizzling and exciting and vibrant over periods of time? But truth be told, historically, in the Christian circles, really the Jews were polygamous. But in the New Testament, it was now one man, one woman. And the Christian faith will not marry you the second time around. It is one man, one woman. But if it's culture or the Islamic law, customary marriage, you can have several wives. Some define you can have up to 5. Others, you can have as many as you are able to afford, and support, to keep happy, to support, and provide good governance. So if you can do that, and then it's always a willing buyer, willing seller. What do you have? And even in the olden days, it's not just about can I provide for you. It was also about conquering territories. If you want to conquer a territory, you get a princess from that territory. It just then means that those people become your people, and you can be able to have communion with the people that you desire to. But life is about choices, and choices have consequences. So depending on your circumstances, you make a choice whether you want a polygamous marriage or you want a monogamous marriage. And it's good whichever you choose, because then you subscribe to whatever the bylaws of what you have subscribed do. I am Christian, and I subscribe to the Christian faith. And so for me, I am a believer of one woman, one man, and one man, one woman. Whether it works or it doesn't, I know it does because I've been in one for many years.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to remind everyone watching that you can go ahead and tweet us at Citizen TV Kenya at Joey_Mutengi using the hashtag Power Breakfast, and also you can SMS us on 22422 with your comments or questions that you might have for Jennifer as we continue this conversation. I wonder, does it vary between men and women? Who is more likely to want to have several partners? Does it vary between men and women?
Well, it does, and men are more predisposed to desiring, more partners or polygamy, based on the fact that men like to keep conquering. Men are hunters. They are on a hunt. They have found their feel, and they are on another hunt. Women, on the other hand, are more of home keepers. They are more of nurturers. They are the ones that really nurture. Once you have your child, your world sort of just becomes your environment of raising your children. But on the other hand, there are some women that are also predisposed to several partners. And some psychologists say that it is actually genetic, depending on your environment and where you're coming from, that you would find that there are women that would be predisposed to desiring several partners. But generally, it's a male thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marriages don't seem to last as long as they used to during, for example, our parents' generation. Why do you think that is? Because there's an aspect of perhaps, women have become more financially stable. They're able to take care of themselves. They don't really need to feel like they need to be in a union in order to take care of themselves or their children.
Yes.
What do you think has been the change between seeing people celebrating 40 years of marriage versus 4 years and then it's a divorce?
It's over. Well, let me say that I think first and foremost we need to understand what is marriage and what is it intended for, and what's the final end goal, and what's really this. So if you come from an environment where that has not been modeled, the importance of the union, then you can not have the value. Everything really is about our values, our backgrounds, and how we have been raised. Two, economics play a major role in whether or not I should be stuck in a marriage that is really not working. Because if I can be able to fend for myself, I can be able to afford that which I desire to have and raise my children, why would I confine myself to a marriage that is not working? So in the past, there was a lot of resilience in this whole journey. There was a lot of role modeling in the whole journey. And there was also a lot of mentoring where you have people to work with you. There is accountability and there is reinforcement. But we live in a culture today where it's really about me, myself, and I. And we do not have social support systems to push us, to empower us, to encourage us, to train us, to equip us, so that we kind of have thicker skin, more resilience to being able to. Now, the purposes of marriage, in the days of my grandmother, maybe in the days of my mother, were not so much about how I am feeling. Today, the young girl like you just gets married because, wow, I'm in love. I met this guy who's, just swept me off my feet. And so, because I'm so much in love, I need to get married. And that's a good thing. But then what people do not know and what they are not educated on is that basically the attraction of a man and woman comes from a bit of a level of a lustful relationship, a romantic relationship that does not have the weight to last a lifetime.
Right, it won't sustain.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
That fire in the belly, that excitement is really intended to bring a man and a woman together. Not to say that you're not going to enjoy your union. It's simply that the minute the fire in the belly is not there, the young woman believes, I'm not in love with him anymore. So I now need to find somebody else who I am feeling that I am, you know, having a fire about, and move on. So you can become a serial polygamous person by, you know, one after another after another, because you are in search of that fire. Truth be told is that marriage is more than just a feeling. Marriage is a decision that you make. It's not for children. It's for when you are of age, then you find the perfect partner, and the perfect partner can never really be the perfect partner. You build and grow and continue to fit in that size that both desire, so that you can walk a journey of life complementing one another towards the vision, the common goal, and the common vision. And I think that's what the young woman doesn't quite understand. I'm supposed to be, you know, drinking love and honey on a daily basis. I'm supposed to be feeling good every single day. Somebody is supposed to fuel me financially, fuel me in terms of happiness, fuel me in terms of every need that I have. And that's why you will find I come across many young people that say, I've never been happy in this marriage. I've never been fulfilled in this marriage. My expectations have never been met, so I want out. And that's why it's important to define from the word go, what is it that you're aspiring to achieve in a marriage? Then when you enter it, really understanding what it's all about, then those unrealistic expectations are put on the table and matched to become realistic. Yes.
I like that you brought up that issue, because in terms of conflict resolution, when we do get to those tough points in relationships or in marriages, especially for this generation, it's just very easy to walk out. It's very easy to say, this is not what I'm looking for in life. I'm out. So instead of doing that, what are some of the ways that you know, that conflicts can be resolved and that you can continue to grow with this person if you are committed to that relationship?
Yes. First of all, let me say that conflict is inevitable. And you will really never be in any form of a relationship without maybe experiencing a misunderstanding, disappointment, issues of trust. And particularly in marriage, we always enter into the marriage relationship with a whole lot of expectations. And when our expectations are not met, there is conflict. It's not about whether conflict is coming, it's how you resolve your conflict. And how you resolve your conflict is really in recognition that we are in this together. 2, I'm not in conflict with an enemy. 3, how we resolve this conflict is going to determine the quality of our relationship going forward. And so it's important that you resolve conflict in an amicable, respectful manner, so that you have something to pick up and be able to move on. Yes.
We were just speaking before the show, and we were talking about monogamy versus polygamy. And one thing you said to me is that the problem comes in when it's a hidden secret. It's not that I have 3 wives. It's that I have a wife and several other women that I'm dealing with, but my wife is not aware of that. Maybe you can speak a little bit more on that.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. You know, one of the things about marriage is that it's two willing, consenting adults that come together. And when they come together, certain promises are made. I'll be faithful to you. You are the only one that I will have for the rest of my life. What is mine is yours. And you look forward for God's blessing that you may have children. And so you begin walking a journey in the knowledge that actually we have a mutual understanding that I'm the only partner. When that changes, something significant changes in that relationship. And it's called trust. Every relationship is really founded on the ground of trust. And so if you choose to have another partner, then it needs to be discussed, agreed, consented, because we have a promise. Now, the easy way out is that there are individuals that do not know how to bring that on the table, or are afraid, if I bring it on the table, then I probably will lose my partner. And so another relationship is formed, children are born, and they are never discussed. Well, the reality about children is that it's not a goat that you take to the market and sell. They mature, and they become a part of a community. And so eventually, a partner might just discover. Sometimes partners never know until it's the end of the journey, and during the funeral services, people pop up, and children pop up, and people that have had a relationship. That's rather unfortunate, because life that is shared is about sharing both the joys and the not so good things. And so it's important for partners to be open and transparent with one another concerning that. So if there is a child that has come outside wedlock, it doesn't matter how painful it is, but I think it is important to discuss it. Anything that happens should be shared. When it's not shared and years go by without having been honest, what happens is you look back, and the only question you can ask is it really true that we've lived together all these years and I've never known this? What happens is that you have lived a lie all your life. So the foundation and the glue that preserves that union is totally destroyed. So there has never really been a marriage, because you have been a lie all my life. Yes.
But even when those issues are brought to the table, and someone says, I want, I found someone new, I want to marry another wife. The issue of jealousy within that union. Does that cause complications? Because my grandfather had 5 wives, and I always just wondered, like, how everyone felt, you know? But then again, you've said it wasn't about so much, I'm in love with this person, or I feel a certain way at that point of time. But how do you deal with that, even if someone clearly communicates with you of, I want, someone else in this union?
Well, basically what happens, Joy, is that when you communicate, it gives the other person the liberty and the freedom to choose as to whether or not they want to be in that relationship, based on the promises that you had from the beginning. So when they choose to stay, then you are in a position to really negotiate what the package is really going to be. Why jealousy knocks in is because you are mine. You provide for me emotionally, financially, physically. So when you have another partner, something lacks. Maybe their attention, the time, the quality of time that you are able to share. And at the end of the day, something is lacking. And that is why even the cultures and the traditions that are permissible where polygamy is concerned are very clear that it is actually allowed when you can holistically provide for your wife. So you are not supposed to neglect. So why does jealousy knock in? Because all my provisions in terms of time and in terms of resources and in terms of physical fulfillment goes to somebody else. So you're actually neglected. Now, not many people, even those, at one point I asked a couple of people who are in the polygamous relationship to tell me what they enjoy most about it and what they feel about being in a polygamous relationship. And actually, all of them said that I don't think that any woman would choose to be in a polygamous relationship.
Right.
But circumstances have caused this to be a polygamous relationship. And while it has happened and it is not something I would have embraced, I have come to learn how to be happy, to embrace it, and to enjoy, because this is the season I am in, this is the circumstance I am in, and I desire to have my children grow up in a family. And so many times I want to acknowledge that unless you come from that deep cultural background where you've been raised in a polygamous family, you admired a polygamous family, and you desire to be in one, it's not always the case. Many people that grow up in a polygamous family have hurt as a result. Lack of quality time, lack of enough finances and provision, and also a lot of power struggle within it. And so when they mature, there is one thing they know: I'd never want to be in a polygamous family. So bottom line, I think life is about choices, and choices have consequences. So if you do not desire to be in a polygamous family, you know, you have a choice to exit or to persevere and stay in it, which is the better evil. That's the decision that you have to make
based on where you are in life, how you feel about yourself, and so many other issues such as that. I just want to show your books here, because you've written a number of books. We have this one called Marriage to Last, After the Promise, if the camera can just go ahead and get that one. That's a book that Jennifer has written. We have another one here called Healing Beyond Betrayal. Now this one I'm sure many people can can relate to. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what these books are about and what inspired you to write them.
Okay. Marriage Built to Last is a book that came through inspiration direct from my heart as a result of my own experience of marriage. As a young woman, I really thought that marriage is about bliss. Everything is just blissful, and that tempo of the dream stage will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
So like any young woman, I was disappointed when drama knocked in. And I never knew that you can have a disagreement, a quarrel, a fight with your loved one. I also never knew that actually other things take center stage. Children, work, in search of you know, empowerment. So how you can spend time with your lover or in your early stages is not the same. You need to do a lot more. External factors influence the heartbeat. And so when I discovered that along the journey, I desired to make a difference in the lives of others who are getting married, who are already married, who are disappointed, who think that it's over. And so I came up with Marriage Built to Last, because I recognized that marriage is not about how I'm feeling. It's about a decision I wake up with every single day. I'm married, I choose to be married, I'll be happy in this marriage, I'll raise my children with joy, I will serve my husband with a lot of diligence, excitement, I'll put fuel and fire in this relationship. And so in doing that, I have shared about, you know, marriage is really God ordained, and everything is provided for us in His Word about how we need to exist with one another.
There's actually, sorry, just to cut you short, there was an SMS I got here from Dixon who's saying that I'm in a polygamous relationship. Will that stop me from entering the kingdom of God? I think that might be a question for a pastor.
Yes.
But yeah, continue. Yes,
it doesn't. It does not prohibit you from entering the kingdom of God. Because it's really all about your personal relationship with God. And there are things that you cannot be able to do anything about. Culturally, if you are in that polygamous relationship, there's nothing you can do about it. If by default, your husband chooses to take another woman, there's nothing that you can be able to do about it. Your role is to do what you are expected to do, to nurture, to care, to love, and within the confines of marriage, to be the best that you can be, that it would be pleasing to God.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, actually, it's not man that comes between you and your relationship with God, or where you eventually, it is a personal relationship.
Right.
And that is from my own conviction.
I had a question here on Twitter from a lady named Sheila, and she was asking, if someone has stepped out of the relationship, is it possible for them to change?
If they've stepped out of the relationship.
Yes.
Life is about giving yourself a new, clean slate every single day. You can also ask me, if somebody has sinned, is there room for forgiveness? Each one of us does things that we regret. Each one of us wakes up with a regret of something of yesterday. But the truth is that, yes, there is room for becoming a new being, forgiven by God. No, God is, the word tells us that He forgets our iniquities. He forgets our sins as far as the east is to the west. So it doesn't matter if you stepped out, step in and stay in
and
style.
Heal.
And heal.
And
actually, that's what made me write my second book. Because I was maybe a bit idealistic in terms of marriage is intended to last a lifetime. You make a decision, you have to walk through the fire if you must, but you will come out victorious. And then in having therapy and coaching sessions with many people, I came across some very serious matters that I could not even comprehend myself. And then I recognized, how can a marriage survive after so much pain, after so much betrayal? And I recognized that you've got to deal with the pain and you've got to heal through the betrayal for you to be able to have a marriage built to last. Where resentment is knocked out, bitterness becomes a thing of the past, and you fill yourself with new energies and enthusiasm to be able to make that marriage beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then again, it's a process, and
it's a process.
Definitely takes time and work.
It's a process.
Can you tell us more about what you do with your Design Your Life sessions that you have with your clients?
What happens, Joy, is that one of the things that I realized is, yes, we can talk about your marriage that needs healing. We can talk about your marriage that needs to thrive. But one of the things that I really recognized is we are, as human beings, need to have holistic health to be able to thrive in any area of our lives. And so while I had focused on relationships, I realized that first and foremost, for you to be able to thrive in your relationship, you need to know who you are. You need to have a relationship with yourself. And when you do not know who you are and where you want to go, and you just throw yourself onto a relationship, you need that relationship to fuel you. And when that relationship does not fuel you, you wither and die. And so we do what I call design your life. And design your life is really about where do you want to go, so that you design a life that is fulfilling, that is purposeful, that is intentional. Every day you wake up, you need to be intentional about every step that you make. So design your life is really about discovering yourself, discovering your purpose, and being enthusiastic, energetic, and purposeful about what you want in terms of career and in terms of relationships. So it's actually a personal and professional development course that takes 10 weeks and that empowers you to make the right decisions in every aspect
I
of
really
your
like
life.
that, because I feel like a lot of times when we're in bad situations, either at work or in relationships, we tend to put the blame on someone else and say, this person is not treating me right, or this job is not doing what I need it to do for me. But but again, it starts with yourself and being intentional about what you do.
If you're not happy here, then we need to explore that. It could simply mean that you are in the wrong path of life. For you to be able to walk in your purpose, you need to recognize your gifting, your interests, your area of influence, and where you need to go.
Right.
And I've also interacted with many in Design Your Life who actually desire to be helpers. You know, I've got the passion to make a difference in somebody else's life. How do I do it?
Yeah.
And so we walk through Design Your Life coaching for you to be able to become a helper in your area of influence.
Right.
Because that's what life is all about. We are here for a purpose, for a plan. And as we walk this planet, we need to be able to have an impact in every sphere of influence that we walk.
Right.
So what right now, your sphere of influence is media. So how are you influencing your world? Through your gifting. So we look at those things. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I feel like we could continue this conversation much further.
Yeah.
But for people who are interested either in getting your books or reaching you, I see that you have your website here. It's www.jennykarina.co.ke. Jenny spelled Jennie, karina.co.ke, if you want to know more about Jennifer's work. So thank you so much for being here today and enlightening us on Power Breakfast. Citizen Extra coming up in just a short while. Keep it here on Citizen TV, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Put on my blue sweat shoes and a embroidered flag.